all too often I see cases, clients, individuals with autism who are not getting quality intervention.
People aren't getting the supervision and training that they used to be able to get. And part of it's an access thing. There's just limited access to supervision and training at that type of a level.
There's always a client that comes in that's going to surprise you in a different way or do something different. And that's why our intervention is individualized and tailored directly for our consumers.
All right, guys, welcome back to a live edition of Beyond the Science. This is the Thought Exchange. We're recording here at the 2025 Autism Partnership Foundation Conference. How you guys feeling about it right now, guys?
Super excited. We've got some amazing guests that are going to share the story and some maybe behind the scenes.
This is a rare sit down because we have some of APF's leadership here taking some time out, needing to eat lunch, all those good things. So we appreciate you guys taking some time out. I want to quickly introduce our guests. We have Justin Leaf here is a Chief Clinical Officer at APF. He's known across the field for advancing compassionate evidence-based care and publishing widely on progressive approaches to ABA. We also have Joe Sheehan. Is that right, Joe?
Well done.
Director of Research. He is a leader in applied research, connecting scientific integrity with everyday impact in the clinical setting. And then we have Julia Ferguson with us as well. She's also part of the leadership team. She's bringing a powerful perspective on accessibility, equity, and system-level thinking. She's reshaping how care is delivered. All right, guys. Each of you guys are leaders, and you guys bring a perspective, take to the field. We're going to be diving into a little bit of question with you guys, just kind of talking about the leadership here as we go along. So I kind of want to start at the top with you guys. Anybody can take this question. So you guys have a clear identity in this field, progressive, evidence-driven, and community-based. So we'll kind of talk about you guys' vision. So what's the vision of guiding you guys' work today, and how has it evolved from over time when you guys first came here?
That's a big question. I mean, I guess
Sorry, you were already going.
I was just trying to buy others time, but sure, I'll go. Things, a lot of stuff has changed since I came out. I came out to work with APF in 2015. I took a research internship with Justin. It was supposed to be a year. So maybe there is something to that Hotel California song, like you can check in, but you can never leave. So I've been here ever since. And we were really research focused. We're still research focused now, but we were doing a lot of research, like research in rooms, research in hallways, research is like every room that you could go into, research was occurring. And part of it was where I fell in love is the research was happening within the clinic, and what was happening in the clinic was informing the research we were doing. Because I think a lot of people walk through the clinic and first they don't know it's a clinic because it looks like a house. Yes. And then you walk in and it feels like a house. And all of the people that work there are highly trained and get lots of supervision. And they were developing things that I'd never seen, and they were implementing things that I had never seen. And then I would go to the research, fresh out of grad school, like, all right, where is this in Java? Nowhere. And it's because it just hadn't been researched. And Justin did a great job coming out and starting to do that research at the foundation and disseminating that information so people could see that wonderful stuff that was happening. That's what really attracted me. So we were doing a lot of that type of research. And as we continued to do that, that's one way to influence the field, right, is through research. But as some of the panels that happened at this conference, it implied and let us know is you only reach so many people doing so many things. So we publish a study that takes years of work to do and years of work to get published, and maybe 1,000 people read it, right? So I think what's changed is how we're trying to disseminate the quality information and the science that's behind it since I've been here. But hopefully that long-winded explanation gave you both some time to develop your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll jump off of where you left off. I mean, it was very research focused, and that leads to dissemination through publications and also presentations at conferences, but also the people in the room. Typically when you go to a symposium at large conferences, sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 100, but you still don't have that large reach. I think starting our own conference has given us a larger platform. I think there's over 500 attending either in person or online today. And then having that available later on to access as well leads to larger people, hearing different things and related to our science and our field. But then something that happened in 2020, which really kind of elevated our outreach, was the free 40-hour RBT
Yes,
training.
yes.
So I believe we're coming close to 1 million users.
Wow.
Hold on. I got to copy
Did I steal your
That's awesome.
I stole Justin's punchline, but getting close to that. And we're kind of continuing down that line. So we're really invested now in providing more and more free resources, trainings online, and continuing that. So that's really led us to reach, a huge, population in that regards.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate. Like, I've been able to travel all around this country and all around the world for my job and see ABA. And I've been fortunate because I get to go to amazing places and meet amazing people. I think the unfortunate thing is all too often I see cases, clients, individuals with autism who are not getting quality intervention, who they're getting rote or rigid intervention. And this is nothing new. This has been I've been in the field now for 25 years, so 23 years I've been seeing it. And because of it, they're not reaching their fullest potential. They're not making the progress that they can make or they should make. And it breaks my heart when I go see that happen. And it's not because the therapists are doing it deliberately bad. It's not because they're not trying their hardest. It's not because they don't have a heart or they're not caring or they're just in it for a paycheck. It's because they don't know the better way. They don't know how to create or implement better intervention. They don't know how to create meaningful and functional applied curriculum. And so I think at the heart of what Joe and Julia were saying, even still in my punchline, is our mission day in and day out is how can we get quality intervention into more settings? How can we make sure that the standard that we talk about, whether that's in our research, whether that's in our dissemination efforts, whether that's what we would see at our clinic, how do we make it so that's the reality for more and more individuals with autism around the world? And that's what drives everything at the end of the day.
I personally, I know we've got this question later, but, owning my small business, I use APF for the 40-hour training. So I really appreciate that. I recommended that to about 10 to 15 people. And just like we were talking with Amy about, as those kiddos transition, like we see some of those gaps and those gaps get larger. And that's why we appreciate what you guys are doing, trying to close those gaps, having conferences, making more and more people just aware of this. And allowing more practitioners to come into the field, because you'll be surprised that that $99, $149 barrier, like that's a serious deal. And I go into schools and I talk to paraprofessionals, I talk to daycare workers. Just having access to that free course gives them their first interaction with ABA. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious because the field of ABA is evolving right now. There's a lot of public dialogue. There's a lot of scrutiny going on right now. What shifts are you guys seeing in the field right now? And can you guys speak on areas where you guys like the field to grow?
Hopefully the field continues to improve upon itself. With any science, with any practice, if you look at dentistry or medicine, it's better today than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and hopefully 100 years ago, right? There's a phenomenon, and I don't have the words for it, like a label. It's almost like a rediscovering of its roots, but then the false premise, it's new. And I'll give an example. Compassionate care is not new. Compassionate ABA is not new. It was there 25 years ago. At this conference, you're going to see Shala presenting in the afternoon. If you're in Atlanta, you can always go on the Behavior Live or RC platform. Shala has been in the field longer than the last 2 years. She's been in the field longer than 25 years. She has always done compassionate care, compassionate ABA. If you look, my mentors here, my mentor, Jan Sheldon, who is my professor at KU, she's been in the field since the 70s, 73, I believe. And she's always done compassionate ABA. I'm liking to see that we're going in that direction, right? That we're talking about. What I don't like in the direction is people are forgetting our roots. And it's I guess it's rediscovery is the word, but it would be nice if they tied it back into the roots, because I think people are just so concentrated on what's new that they forget, like, this has been here. This is not a new third wave. This is exactly what has been here the entire time. So I that's what I'm seeing in the field. It's kind of like a rediscovery of it. And it's good. It's good we're talking about it, but I really do want to tie it back to our leaders who've been here for decades.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with all of those points. Our field's been evolving for a long time. Like if it was stagnant, we'd be worried. We wouldn't be here if it was stagnant, right? And some of those progressions are progressions. Some of the progressions are regressions. So there are lots of different ways that the field seems to be going. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But the thing that I see that's changed the most is people's experience in training. I've been very lucky to find myself around people that can provide the experience and training to me that they got. A lot of people haven't found themselves lucky enough to learn from some of the people that I've been lucky enough to learn from, because the people that I've sought supervision and training from have gone beyond the minimum standards of what's required to prepare someone to sit for an exam or get a certification. Like all of those things are good and they're advancements in the field. Like we need certification, we need those things. It's allowed us to have a profession. It's allowed people to create careers and provide for their families. But those have started to drive some interesting, I call them nefarious contingencies, operating on the training wing of our field. And who's better suited to look at those contingencies in our field, right? But I don't know if it's just we want to ignore it, or if we just don't want to put in the work. I don't know what's going on there, but one thing that I have seen changing across my experience, and I can still consider myself new in the field, is
You can't say that anymore.
that's why I shaved. You can't see the gray hair. You can't see the gray hair.
Me too.
But
Me
like,
too. By
right?
the way.
But people aren't getting the supervision and training that they used to be able to get, and part of it's an access thing. There's just limited access to supervision and training at that type of a level, and there's a higher need for professionals and interventionists in the field than there were before. So I see less training of behavior analysts and more training of practitioners, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But we also need to evaluate it with a careful eye and see how that's affecting the field more largely, or more broadly.
So do you think that AI could help that?
I don't know.
It's a loaded question. Cool.
It really is. Like I've seen some benefits of AI in terms of helping people understand concepts and stuff. There's some AI tool out there right now that you can feed it an article and it'll develop a podcast for you that teaches you about the article. And I was like, how good can that really be? And I fed it one of what I think is one of the more difficult articles that I've ever contacted in my training, and it did a pretty good job of breaking it down in terms of a podcast. But I don't know if that's a good supplement for actually putting in the work to understand and actually contact the article. I think as there's continues to be degrees of separation from the historical text and articles and all that type of stuff. And there might be some useful tools that can help people, go back to the roots and understand those things a little bit, or at least understand our history. So I don't know. AI terrifies me a little bit, but also like I don't know.
You grew up with Terminator.
Exactly. Like I'm just waiting for Skynet.
I think there might be some, like what Joe said, some educational benefits to AI, maybe in like didactic or that initial kind of knowledge base, getting more of that in maybe a synthesized way to really understand like a large amount of articles kind of synthesized down, or, things like that. But when it comes to the actual implementation of intervention, I don't think that is probably the way to go. Mm-hmm. I mean, you often hear the phrase like if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Like I think about all of the children we work with, or adolescents or adults that we interact with. And, there's so many different variations to autism and what their specific needs might be. And there's always a client that comes in that's going to surprise you in a different way or do something different. And that's why our intervention is individualized and tailored directly for our consumers. So I think there might be some, knowledge benefits to AI for that kind of initial piece of training where you need to understand like principles and some jargon that you might not be familiar with and things like that. But when it comes to implementation, we need high quality training, with an actual person that knows how to implement as well and can help you learn how to do that.
All three of you guys lead in different ways. We have research, we have clinical strategy, we have system design here. Can you guys just quickly speak to what leadership means for you guys right now in APF? What lessons have helped shape how you guys show up for your teams right now?
I mean, I always think like we're a small but mighty team. Like it really is pretty small with us we have more people working for APF, but with us being like the behavior analysts, so driving the research. So I have found that collaboration and communication and having a close relationship with both of them and being able to really fight sometimes about disagreements and then also, make up, hang out, like having a close relationship with a team that you can openly communicate with has been really critical to, I think, our success and progression as we've kind of developed over the last 10 years.
Love that. Yeah.
It's kind of funny when y'all reached out and we're like, we'd like to have some of the leadership from APF. I think there's a misconception about how big the foundation is. Like there's only so many, we're all here. But
Sam is here right now.
Right? We're a small but overworked group, but we're overworked because we love what we do. I think there's a misnomer that if you find something you love and you do it, you'll never work a day the rest of your life. I think that's absolutely wrong. If you find something that you love and do it for your job, you're going to work the rest of your life because you love it, but it doesn't feel like work, so you're just going to continue to do more of it. But from the leadership perspective, I think Julia took another punchline. I think there's an assumption that leadership means agreement, and I think leadership actually means disagreement. But respectful, professional disagreement. We've gotten into a lot of heated, and heated's probably a light way to phrase it. We've gotten into some big disagreements and big arguments. We don't always agree on what we want to do, but we're all driven by the same goal. That's increasing access to quality intervention. And so as long as we're on that same path together, we might disagree with some of the routes to go and some of the ways to do things, or what beer to have. We're going to have those disagreements, but we're able to have them in a very professional way, and not take it personally, and know that we're all here trying to go towards that same purpose. Yep. So
Julia does order the wrong beer
all the time.
I can't drink IPAs anymore, guys. I just can't.
Have you tried?
I'm going to give two names that some people know and some people probably don't know these days. And the first is Sid Bijou, and the second is Francis Horowitz. And to me, that's what leadership is. Sid Bijou was largely in charge of the Washington group, which really started ABA, and Francis Horowitz is who brought everyone to Kansas. And the beauty of what they did, and because they're not known like Bear or Wolf or Risley or Ione or any of those names that are more common, I think some people know them, but probably don't know all their contributions. They brought excellent people together who were excellent in the specific things that they did, and they let them work. And so for me, kind of helping steer the ship is bring in good people, and let them do what they do well, and kind of stay out of the way and don't mess them up.
Yeah.
So why are we here?
And if that doesn't work, you just kidnap them and keep them and let them go back to Texas.
Love it.
But I think that's the less for me. That's what leadership at a high level is you get the right people, you put them in the right situation, and you watch them excel.
Yeah. So I want to ask, do any of you guys have any leadership books that you would recommend?
So not surprising, today we have a coach ball game. I've been really liking I like coaches. So there's Coach K, I think Leading with Heart, which is also featured in The Bear, the TV show, which is how I got it. There's another book by Nick Saban where he talks about the process. That's something I talk about.
Roll Tide, Justin. Roll Tide.
Yeah.
I'm a Georgia fan. Just that kind of hurt.
I'm sorry, but if you listen to what he says about it, probably, I'm not I'm not an Alabama fan here. USC is where we live. But he talks about the process and what it takes to be a championship and good team. I think it can be easy to say, Shala's book or Linda LeBlanc's book or within our field. I would really encourage you to go outside of the field and see leadership from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Last question, Joe.
So last question, as we wrap up here, one word, guys. What do you want APF's legacy to be?
Ooh.
One word.
Maybe two.
Yeah.
Maybe three.
No more than three.
No more.
Progressive.
Oh,
I like it.
All right, now it's one.
I would go quality, high quality services.
No. High quality service.
No more than three. No more than three. All right, you're good. You're good.
Quality was good.
I'm not
Quality
good
was
at
good.
math.
I like that.
Quality, you had it with quality.
Quality. Quality.
I'm going to assume that I can build off of there too with mine, and I'll go empirical.
What does that mean?
That we have science behind everything that we're saying and recommending and doing. Like I think we spend a lot of people spend their time in the practice wing, and that's great. We need that, but I think that sometimes we forget that what we do is based off of a science. Like ABA is a science. It's not a therapy. It's not an intervention. It's a science, and we've derived methods from that science. And I think the more and more that we continue to meet the needs for the practitioners in the field, we're at the risk of separating ourselves from that science just a little bit. So I'll go empirical.
Yeah, all great answers, guys. Well, Justin, Julia, I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate your leadership and your time you guys doing at APF and for joining us here. And we appreciate you guys having us here too at you guys' conference. And we look forward to, continuing to collaborate with you guys. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me
so
here.
much.